Shiv Seniks in their hundreds of thousands are turning out to the streets of Mumbai to bid a tearful farewell to their leader Bal Thackeray. His mottled remains are being taken from Thackeray's residence at Matoshri to the Shiv Sena Bhavan. Headlines Today has correspondents spanning the streets of Mumbai, and we're getting you all the latest updates from Maximum City, which is bereaving the loss of one of its most powerful personalities. You're seeing these images from earlier in the day when Bal Thackeray's body was brought out. His son Uddhav Thackeray broke down. Very different from the image of machismo that Bal Thackeray projected and portrayed for so long. Uddhav Thackeray, Bal Sahib's son, broke down. A decorated truck carrying Bal Thackeray's mortal remains is on its way to the Sena Bhavan under a heavy security cover. A sea of humanity has emerged in the streets of Mumbai to pay its last respects to the Sena Supremo. From Sena Bhavan, his mortal remains will then be taken to Shivaji Park, the location from where Bal Thackeray launched the Shiv Sena in 1966, changing the landscape of Maharashtra politics. There on your screen, Uddhav Raj Thackeray, who's been working through the night, putting together the arrangements at Shivaji Park. The body of Bal Thackeray will be kept at Shivaji Park till about 5 p.m. this evening for people to pay their last respects. His last rites will then be performed there at 6 p.m. This being a Sunday, Mumbai city is completely shut, partly out of respect, greatly out of fear. An entry and exit plan has been released by Samna for Shivaji Park. We'll take you through that in just a moment. Most people preferring to stay indoors, people not venturing out because of the fear of the untoward. You're seeing these images of the preparations at Shivaji Park. And I want to talk over these pictures with some people who understand Bal Thackeray and the Shiv Sena really well. Vijay Naik is joining us in our studios. We've got Vineet Narayan joining us as well. Mr. Naik understands the politics of the Shiv Sena and also was personally known to Bal Thackeray very, very closely. Paranjoy Guha Thakurta is also with us early this morning. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. Mr. Naik, I want you to take our viewers through, the complete shutdown in Mumbai this morning. And people looking at these images and thinking to themselves, here's a highly divisive, controversial leader who spread hatred, who caused riots, or whose Shiv Seniks executed those riots, and then despite that, there is so much of an emotional outpouring. Thousands of people out on the streets early this morning, the crowd's likely to swell. What explains Bal Thackeray's popularity?
What you say is that, today Mumbai's heart is broken. Bal Thackeray was the tallest leader in Maharashtra of over half a century. So when he started in 1966, I think in Maharashtra, except by Yashwantrao Chavan, there was no other leader of his stature who remained tallest and who remained at the heart of the people for over half a century. So what you see today is overpowering kind of feelings of the people on the street, and I think that by afternoon, people from all over Maharashtra would gather to pay last tributes to Thackeray. Thackeray has, as you said just now, was also a kind of a feared, he was hated, he was loved, he was venerated, and all these things, qualities were there in Thackeray, which he went on talking through Samna, his paper, for a very long time. I think that is the only newspaper in Marathi which was being quoted not only in English dailies in India but also abroad, because he moved Mumbai. Actually, he protected Mumbai. If you see the veneration of his in the last few days, that the Bollywood turned, the people from the intelligentsia, writers, media, everybody was there, to pay last tributes to him, shows that his personality crossed to every strata of the society in Maharashtra. Now, you remember that Mumbai was a target of terrorist attacks for many, many years, and it has been happening quite often, The people in Mumbai went on looking at him as he is the protector of Mumbai, basically. He was also to challenge Congress as well as NCP regime which was there. Only once the Thackeray and the BJP broke that particular streak of Congress party which ruled Maharashtra since 1961, reformation of the...
What does Bal Thackerays death mean for the Shiv Sena? He was the mascot that protected the Shiv Senics, stood for Marathi pride. With his death, we saw Uddhav Thackeray break down. I don't know whether Bal Thackeray would have wanted his son to break down in public, but that's who Uddhav Thackeray is, very different from Bal Thackeray. What does Bal Sahib's death mean for the Shiv Sena?
Bal Thackeray today, he is no more, but the party is in coma. Because I think that Uddhav Thackeray is a very emotional person, and for Shiv Sena, it will be a big question. It's a big question mark for Shiv Sena's future, basically.
Do you see the Shiv Sena disintegrate under Uddhav's leadership if Raj doesn't join?
No, I think it's too early to say that they will disintegrate. But there is a section of Shiv Sena who wanted both Raj and Uddhav to be together. And those who were there, some of the members of parliament who were very senior people in Shiv Sena, who respected Bal Thackeray, they don't know what is going to happen exactly after Thackeray goes. And secondly, you would have seen that when Rajiv Gandhi was there, you see, Mrs. Gandhi was assassinated, the sympathy wave was there for the Congress party. One is to see whether that kind of sympathy of the people in Shiv Sena remains with the leadership of Uddhav Thackeray in the future, you see.
I'm coming back to you. Give me a moment. I want to bring in my other guest. I want to go across to Paranjoy Guha-Thakurta. Paranjoy, you can hate him, you can love him, but you can't take away the fact that thousands of people have turned out on the streets of Mumbai to pay their last respects. And, you know, people look at him as a highly controversial figure. They say, here's a man who caused so much hatred, so much trouble in society, and yet there's a vast constituency, you know, which feels that he was their mascot. He was the man they all looked up to.
You are absolutely right, Rahul. Bal Thackeray aroused extreme responses in people. Either you loved him or you hated him. You could never be indifferent to him or rather ignore him. For a substantial section of the Marathi speaking middle class in Mumbai and in Maharashtra, he was God. He was the reincarnation of Shivaji. As his political party was he was the army of Shivaji, the Shiv Sena. But all those who were not part of that community, who did not speak Marathi, they could be Tamil speaking, they could be Hindi speaking, they could be from some other part of India. For him, Bal Thackeray aroused fear and dread. They loathed him. After what happened in Mumbai in early 1983, the anti-Muslim riots, people feared him. Even whether it's the film community, those who were part of the cinema industry, they went to him because at one level overtly they wanted to be reverential towards him, but at the same time
keep telling me
they feared that if he didn't get his support, you know, their films would not be screened, whether it was the Tamil producer of Ram or Sham or Mani Ratnam, who first made Bombay and then made a somewhat adulatory film loosely modeled around him called Sarkar. And this is true also of other sections. The industrialists loved him. Why did the industrialists love him? Because in the 70s, the Shiv Senics were used first to bring the communist trade unions and then the Datta Samant-led trade union. The workers were divided between Marathis and non-Marathis. You know, and therefore this was the personality of Bal Thackeray. A man who openly said, I am a great admirer of Hitler. A person who openly said, you know, I like what Indira Gandhi has done during the emergency. He was in that sense authoritarian. You know, a person who was open in saying, if the Shiv Senics were responsible for the demolition of the Babri Masjid in December 92, he was not ashamed, unlike, say, Mr. L.K. Advani or Mr. Vajpayee, who said this is the saddest day of my life. So in that sense, Bal Thackeray, two sections of Marathi speaking people, the Marathi middle classes, the Marathi working classes, he was God. But to others, he kind of epitomized, extreme right, ultra nationalist kind of sentiments, the kind of hatred he aroused for Muslims at one level or Pakistanis was visceral. So in that sense, as you rightly pointed out, here was a man who aroused extreme reactions in people. You could never be indifferent to him. You could never ignore him.
He didn't need to hire crowds. He didn't need spokespeople. He didn't need to explain what he wanted to say. All he wanted to do was give out an Adesh, Vineet Nara, and people would act on it. I'm just reading from a piece over here. The fact is, Bal Thackeray is unlike almost any other personality in Indian politics, and as we see these pictures, more and more people are flocking out to the streets of Mumbai. I was just speaking to somebody in the Mumbai police before beginning this broadcast, and he said their expectation is between 15 to 20 lakh people will pay their last respects to Bal Thackeray before the day is over.
Rahul, I quote Bala Sahib, one of his interviews to one of the TV channels sometime back, where he said, "You can't force your wife to love you. It has to be voluntary." So this whole outburst or this whole expression of emotion or love towards him is voluntary. It's not that because of fear people are there in the street. People who are back home, who are not coming out, stepping out of their home, are because of fear of some violence or some disturbance. But people who are on the streets are there to show their love for Bala Sahib. That's one thing. I just want to react to a couple of remarks made prior to me about this contradiction that, see, here is a man who creates a scenario where you start hating Bangladeshi refugees or Muslims or whatever, and that gives a sense of security to Marathis. But then here is a man who also goes out of the way to help Sanjay Dutt. When Congress party let down Sunil Dutt, I am not on the merit of the case of Sanjay Dutt, but when Sunil Dutt, who was such a loyal leader of Congress party, was in trouble because of his son's Tada case, who came to his rescue? It was Bala Sahib.
But Bal Thackeray always liked that. The fact that somebody would come, bow down before him, ask for his help, and then the Sarkar would oblige.
So
That's the image.
He was not a democratic person.
He liked Hitler, he said.
Yeah, and he openly accepted that.
But the one thing, Mr. Naik, has to be admitted is, despite their public image as people who are very prone to violence, Shiv Seniks have been extremely restrained and very calm. There was some violence on the first day when some obis was vandalized and some reporters beaten up and some cameras smashed. But after that, after Uddhav appealed for calm, the Shiv Seniks have been very, very peaceful.
Well, it's a time of mourning for everyone. It's a time of mourning for their greatest leaders. You see. So in this situation, I do not think, unless any kind of mischief happens in Mumbai, Shiv Seniks are going to do any kind of rampage in Mumbai. You see. And that is what you said just now, is that the appeal made by Uddhav Thackeray is going to work in Mumbai. Today it is a day of mourning for everyone. It is not a day of violence for Shiv Seniks.
You see, another thing you mentioned about Uddhav's breaking down, and it's a major deviation from Bal Thackeray's stone, faced personality, where he would show this strength. I want to cite an example from Mahabharata. Arjun was a warrior, and Krishna was his guru, friend, cousin, everything. But when Abhimanyu was killed in a Chakravyuh by Kauravas, Arjun burst into tears, he was crying, and he was accusing Krishna that why the hell you didn't forewarn me? Why didn't you tell me that my son's life is in danger and he will be killed? So then Krishna, out of desperation, asked Arjun, what do you want? And he said, I want my son back. So Krishna evoked, Abhimanyu's soul and came, and Abhimanyu said, look, you are my father for that life only. Now I'm moving on to my forward. My point I'm trying to make is that even a warrior like Arjun, a strong Kshatriya, a disciple of Krishna, a devotee of Krishna, a friend, burst into tears. So when Rajiv Gandhi died, and some people asked Sonia Gandhi, we didn't see the expression of emotions in public by your family, whether it was Rahul, Priyanka, Sonia. And Sonia probably replied that we Nehrus don't sob in public. But I think, as you see American presidential candidates, when they talk of their poverty in childhood or their tough time and coming up in politics, they burst into tears. Emotions are something which always appeal masses, And Uddhav Thackeray's crying in public or Aditya Thackeray's crying in public should not be taken as weakness of their personality. But it's a natural expression of their love for their father, protection which they have enjoyed for all these years, the empire which they are going to inherit probably, or there will be dispute after him. Those are the issues probably in their mind. But expression of their emotion in public There's nothing proof that they are a weak personality.
Okay, let's also chat with Paranjoy about what might happen to the Shiv Sena now that Bal Thackeray is gone, and that is a very important question for today's discussion, because on the one hand you've got Uddhav Thackeray, who's unwell, who's not recovering fully either. You've got Aditya, who's very, very young, and you've got Raj Thackeray, who's sniping at their heels and pulling away a large part of the Shiv Sena support bank. Do you think that the Shiv Sena is in for tough times now?
I do believe it's going to be very difficult for the Shiv Sena in the absence of its tallest leader, the person who founded the party. I mean, he was like larger than life, his persona. He, at one level, had raved and ranted against the so-called dynastic politics in the Congress. But when it came to his own party and his own family, he eventually chose his son and not his nephew. But people said his nephew, Raj, had this remarkable resemblance to him. The way he would speak would be like his uncle. Unlike Uddhav, his son, who was far more reticent or seemed to be or perceived to be far less aggressive or belligerent. No, it's very clear that Bal Thackeray did not want Raj and Uddhav to part ways. On more than one occasion, he had publicly said that he wanted the two to patch up and, forget their differences. But the point is, after the MNS was formed, after the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena was formed, what Raj Thackeray did was adopt a brand of politics which was as belligerent or even more belligerent than the Shiv Sena. And he played spoiler. I mean, he cut into the votes of the other parties. Now, I am not sure whether Raj and Uddhav will be able to, sink their differences. There will be no more ego clashes, and they'll be able to come together.
Okay.
At a theoretical level, you can say it will be good for both of them if they patch up. But whether that will happen or not, I really can't predict what will happen in the future.
There is theory on the one side, then there is ego, and over here there's a massive ego clash taking place between the two brothers, even though both realize together they would be a far more potent force in Maharashtra politics. I want to go across now live to Shivaji Park. Joining us from there is our political editor Javed Ansari. There are some problems with a lot of jammers being placed over there, but Javed, describe for our viewers the scenes at Shivaji Park. Mumbai police estimating that lakhs of people will show up at Shivaji Park to pay their last tributes to Bal Thackeray.
Indeed, the police estimate says that this ground will be filled over and people are going to spill out. They expect lakhs, hundreds of thousands of people to come here. Rahul, I can tell you we were here since 5 o'clock and people have been streaming in. His body has already, the funeral cortege has left Matochuri and it's on its way. It's expected here sometime in an hour or so from now. But as it is, as we can see on our right, there's a considerable crowd right now. The numbers have increased, and as as his body, as the funeral cortege nears Shivaji Park, this ground is going to be packed to the rafters. This is what the local administration, this is what police are telling us. The Shiv Sena leaders, Shiv Sena Pramukhs, corporators, all of them have been imploring repeatedly on the loud hailer, coming and requesting their cadres to remain calm, to remain peaceful, and not to do anything that would take away from the solemnity of the occasion. They say we appreciate the fact that you've come to pay your respects and extend your support, but do it in a peaceful and in a manner which will behave which will be becoming and which will behove your leader, rather than give the Sena a bad name. So they've been requesting their leaders. The crowd is swelling by the minute, and by the time the funeral cortege gets here, you can take it from us, this ground is going to be full.
And that's the other thing, Javed, which we were just discussing in the studios, that despite this unstated but very apparent fear of violence breaking out, everyone has been very calm, very restrained, and in that sense, Uddhav's appeal to Shiv Senics has gone down and the message has been heard, and things in Mumbai very peaceful, and let's hope that's the way it stays.
Yes, indeed. And over the last several days, as you know, that Bala Sahib's health to take a turn for the worse. Uddhav used to come out every day late in the evening and appeal to his voters, appeal to his supporters, appeal to the Shiv Sena. Yesterday, after 3 o'clock when that announcement was made, repeatedly, every couple of minutes, one senior leader or the other would come out and repeat that message. Their cooperators, their leaders, all of them have been told to try and ensure peace. And even from the stage, they've been repeatedly imploring their workers, their supporters, not to do anything that would give the Sena and give Bala Sahib Thackeray a bad name. They say his last journey should be made memorable. A farewell should be given to him befitting his stature. But that emotion should not spill over, and nobody, they repeatedly say, nobody should do anything which will bring a bad name.
What is the word that you're picking up, Javed, from the rest of the city? You know, all along the route where the cortege is traveling, you know, we've got crowds lining up on both sides of the street. But the word that we are picking up from the rest of the city is that everybody is essentially staying home. It's a Sunday, nobody wants to go out, nobody wants to venture out and take the risk of getting caught in an untoward incident.
Yes, Rahul, there is sadness and there is also fear. Fear that emotions will spill over, because the Sena's history has somewhat been checkered as far as this is concerned. And on emotive issues like this, it's not just the Sena. On emotive occasions like this, sometimes emotions tend to boil over, and you know, they take one stray incident can create a lot of problems. And that's why a lot of Mumbaikars who are not necessarily supporters of the Sena are staying in. They would prefer to watch and watch their funeral, watch the cremation on television, pay their respects from the safe confines of their homes. People have been stranded at airports because there are no taxis available. The buses are not flying, and you know, either they have to rely on the service of their friends. So yes, it's caution as well as sadness, fear as well as, you know, reverence for this departed Sena leader. There are many who did not agree with Mr. Bala Sahib Thackeray's brand of politics, but even they acknowledge the fact that yes, he was a force to reckon with, and he had a major role to play, not just in Mumbai but also in Maharashtra.
Thousands of people have turned out in the streets of Mumbai to pay their homage to Bala Sahib Thackeray, the leader of the Shiv Sena. His funeral procession has now reached Mahim in Mumbai. I'm joined by Vidya. She is at the Shiv Sena Bhavan, and she's joining us at this time. Vidya, describe to our viewers, you know, we're seeing these images of literally hundreds of thousands of people coming out in the streets all across Mumbai. You know, by when is this cortege expected to reach the Shiv Sena Bhavan, and what do you see around you, Vidya?
Well, Rahul, since morning we have been seeing just about every road, every train is leading just to the other. In fact, if I can just show you this road right outside Shiv Sena Bhavan is just teeming with people. They have been increasing by the number, by the minute. In fact, this very road that you see is the one on which is coming all the way from Mahim, and it should take anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes for the entire procession to reach Shiv Sena Bhavan. But as you can see, you know, there are balconies that people are peeping out of. There are, people standing on the road, and in fact, they're moving towards the procession so they can catch the procession early. You know, in Rahul, in fact, this is that very road I have seen, Bala Sahib Thackeray, when he used to move from here, people just tried touching his cart, just to get some bit of Bala Sahib Thackeray that they could get. And here, as you can see right now, are those posters, umpteen number of them that have been lined up here just to pay respect to their leader, and it will be around 45 minutes later that we'll see the procession reaching Shiv Sena Bhavan.
You know, I'm also looking at these pictures, and if you look at the age composition of a lot of the people who are coming in, they're very young. So it isn't as if Bala Sahib Thackeray's appeal was only restricted to the middle-aged people, you know, who saw Bala Sahib Thackeray at his prime. Even in these pictures, there's so many young people. So the Shiv Sena very clearly as an idea still evokes a lot of interest amongst a very young generation of Maharashtrians. Mr. Naik?
Well, it's certainly, in fact, just take a look outside, the head count just says it a lot in itself. In fact, the number of people.
No, you see, what you said is absolutely correct, that it evokes, you see, the younger generation of Maharashtra, of course, has been with Shiv Sena for many years. And as you know, that initially Bal Thackeray started his agitation with Marathi Manus. And at Marathi Manus, he wanted to get entrenched in Mumbai's life and industry also. So when he saw that the people from different places like Tamil Nadu and other places are flocking Mumbai and trying to snatch the services there, it was Bal Thackeray who gave some kind of assurance to the youth in Mumbai and other places also. So that therefore, since I think the 50 years, if you take it, all those people have become quite old, but there is a new generation which has come up in Maharashtra, which is now being attracted by Shiv Sena. Part of it has gone to Raj Thackeray now, because Raj Thackeray's party is only 6 years old. So that party is now taking the chunk of the younger generations with them. But one has to see that whether Raj as well as Uddhav Thackeray would come together to get the entire the support, popular support of younger generation to Shiv Sena as a whole. But that is yet it's a question.
What is the buzz that you're picking up from the rest of the city? You know, you've got all these people coming out to the streets of Mumbai to pay their last respects to Bala Sahib Thackeray. The rest of the city practically shutting shop and staying home.
Well, the number of people here has just,
I think they've put some jammers all across this route, as a consequence of which some of those telephone lines are acting up. But one of the things, Paranjoy, that always defined Bala Sahib Thakray's politics is the fact that he was always looking for an object of hatred, whether it was communism, whether it was the Gujarati business class, whether it was the South Indians later, whether it was the Muslims, the immigrants. He was always looking for somebody to target, and that in some senses defined Thakray's politics.
You are absolutely correct in your analysis, Rahul. To an unemployed Marathi youth, even if the message that you're sending out is a sectarian one, it will appeal to him that he is unable to get a job, whether it be to run a small restaurant or to drive a cab, because somebody from Tamil Nadu or somebody from Uttar Pradesh has come and taken away his job. This sort of very sectarian appeal in the name of sons of the soil also appeals to a section of people, and appeals in particular to the youth. So this was indeed one of the techniques, one of the strategies that Bala Sahib Thackeray deployed to gain political support. So in the late 60s and early 70s, it was the issue of Mumbai being a part of Maharashtra. Then the agitation was against the so-called Lungiwalas. I mean, that's obvious reference to people from the southern part of India who were running restaurants. Then in the late 60s and the early 70s, in the Bhiwandi communal riots that took place, then it was against the communists. Then it went beyond that. It became a pro-Hindutva. Then it was and against Pakistan. You know, Mehdi Hassan cannot perform. We'll dig up the pitches. So that was the kind of politics that Bala Sahib Thackeray believed in. It was very important for him to have, as you rightly pointed out, those figures of hate. And you needed those figures of hate, and you could blame them for your problems.
You know, what we've seen since, Vineet, the time that Uddhav Thackeray has taken over, he's trying to make the Shiv Sena more moderate. Now, he doesn't encourage street level violence, and that in a sense goes against the core identity of the Shiv Sena. Does that explain why people are now floating across to the MNS?
But I would also like to give the other side of the coin, that when Praranji talks about the hatred part, which is very well established and we all discussed that, You should also not forget that these shakhas, which were created all over Mumbai, Thane and Pune, you see, were a very big relief centers for the local people, for the Marathi Manus. You see, if a young girl is being teased by some local gundas, the Shakha people will come and thresh him completely. If they need an ambulance, they'll provide the ambulance. If they need police assistance, they'll come. And the allegation of extortionist behavior of the Shiv Sena was confined to rich and affluent people. They would never, ask common men to shell out money the way they would probably do it to the rich people. So the kind of relief they provided to the majority of the common man, Marathi. And I agree with Pranoj. At that time, in 60s, 70s, 80s, the chairmen of banks, the CMD of Air India or the corporate houses would engage people from their state of origin, from Tamil Nadu, Bengal, Kerala, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, and local people were sidelined. So there was a sense of inferiority complex among Marathis. But Balasaheb Thackre's agitation and the kind of emotional support they extended to these people gave them a sense of pride, a sense of belonging.
On the one
and
side,
they did get jobs.
On the one side, Mr. Nayak, he represented the Marathi Manus, and then there were so many Marathi intellectuals who completely hated Balasaheb Thackeray and what he stood for, because he thought it went against the grain of the Marathis being a very inclusive race.
You're absolutely correct, you see, because Balasaheb Thackeray, as Vinit also just said now, his constituency was basically Marathi, the son of the soil. That is what the thing which he played for quite some time, almost 20-25 years, you see. But beyond that, I think, when you look at his politics also, and ideologically you see the expansion of his politics, you come across a phenomena where he moves from Marathi Manus to a greater constituency and gets some of the Biharis, some of the Gujaratis elected in Rajya Sabha. So you would find that his constituency was from Marathi Manus to Hindutva to expanding and making Shiv Sena as an inclusive body. And therefore you will find it is not only, it did not remain only Marathi Manus, because today if you look at Mumbai, Mumbai is an amalgam of people from all over India, and Marathi Manus of course is there, as you said just now, that a part of it has been taken over by MNS. Yes, MNS is really playing that particular politics that it has to be Marathi Manus. But if you look at it, now today Shiv Sena cannot just go on talking about Marathi Manus all the time. If they want to expand the party, then it has to be inclusive of many people, many communities.
Then it takes away from the core identity.
Exactly,
and that can support amongst its key cadre.
No, but what will happen is that not only Marathi Manus, but in Mumbai also, they will get a larger support of different people also.
Okay.
Then that gives a strength to the Shiv Sena.
Give me a moment. I'd like you to talk over these pictures as this cavalcade has now reached Mahim in Mumbai, after which it is supposed to reach the Shiv Sena Bhavan. And I'm going to just for a moment turn the commentary down and allow you to just listen in and soak in these pictures as lakhs of people walk alongside Balasaheb Thackeray's body and escort their leader all the way down to Shivaji Park. Aple Sahib Gele, that's Samna, the newspaper Balasaheb Thackeray nurtured with so much love and affection. It carried all sorts of worldviews. Many people considered this warped, Mr. Naik, but that's what Balasaheb Thackeray was. And the fact is that these are not people who've been flocked into buses as some of our big political parties do, paid 500 rupees, promised a shawl, and asked to come to listen to one of the big leaders. These are people who genuinely connect emotionally and physically with Balasaheb Thackeray and are out to show their feelings.
Well, it was a father figure for all these people who have gathered there. For them, it was a kind of godfather, basically. So all of these people, when you see them, they have come out with great emotions for Bal Thackeray, and they feel that they have lost, as if they have lost nearest person in the family, basically. So therefore, you would see that lakhs of people would be coming in the afternoon to pay their respects to Bal Thackeray. And I think whether the question, of course, is that today what we see is that lakhs of people would be coming, but whether that support remains with the cub, because he was called as a tiger, and you find a cub, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. So whether that remains with him is yet to be seen.
Let me ask that to Javed Ansari, who is joining us from Shivaji Park. This emotional fervor that we're seeing now, gave the Congress a lot of political dividends in the 1984 elections. Shiv Sena would be hoping that because of the sort of support that Balasaheb Thackeray enjoyed, Shiv Sena too would benefit from the emotional wave in the next election. Is that likely to happen? What's your sense, Javed?
Rahul, I mean that would be the logical fallout, but the problem is that the next elections in the state are scheduled only in 2 years from now. The first election will be the local elections, in which, if they are held in time, will also be in 2014. So there's a lot of time. Much would depend on the sagacity and wisdom of the Sena leaders, on how Uddhav steps into the role, whether he or not he does step into the role, because let's not forget there are huge question marks over Uddhav's health as well. He's just undergone angioplasty. He has apparently implanted 8 stents that have been implanted. So there are huge question marks whether he has the resilience to stay the course. What happens now onwards? While these are early days, yes, and Balasaheb Thackeray towards the end of the life did want the two brothers to did want to affect some kind of rapprochement between the two brothers. The fact of the matter is that much the bone of contention, and that was who would inherit the legacy, still remains. So we don't know for sure what will happen and how much of dividends would it pay. But we certainly know that at this moment of time, his sentiments ring extremely true. Just look at the cover of the Samna newspaper, the mouthpiece of Sena. It says Apla Sahib Gela, which means, roughly translates means our leader is gone. So right now, all Shiv Senics, whether they are from Shiv Sena, the main Shiv Sena, or even the affiliate, or even the estranged party, the MNS, all of them, all sentiments, very strong sentiments about Balasaheb Thackeray. But the sad part about sentiments is that it doesn't last for too long, and politics is not governed by sentiments, it's governed a lot more by self-interest.
That's a very interesting point you're making, that this sympathy doesn't necessarily mean it will extend till 2014, and self-interest is what the Shiv Senics will really look out for. In Paranjoy, what Uddhav Thackeray is really trying to do with the Shiv Sena now is make it less militant, make it reach out to more and more people. Do you think as a consequence of this, he's losing out on his core Marathi Manus that feel let down by Uddhav Thackeray and therefore are gravitating towards Raj?
I have a slightly different take on this. Yes, you are right. There will be one section of the Marathi speaking people who would gravitate towards the MNS and Raj. But I also do believe there is a section of the Marathi speaking people who are not really as fanatical or parochial in their views. I mean, they would like a more kind of, they have a far more inclusive view. And remember, this point that is being made, that, Uddhav wants to be a little more inclusive, and Raj wants to go and be even more belligerent than Balasaheb Thackeray was. The point that was made earlier, even Bal Thackeray was not averse to acts of symbolism to indicate that, he wasn't really such a terrible person, devil incarnate, such a person to be hatred. I'll give you 3 or 4 examples to make my point. First, after the Shiv Senics had vandalized many of the Udupi restaurants in Mumbai and was perceived to be against the Tamils, Balasaheb Thackeray did meet up with Mr. Karunanidhi. Dilip Kumar would come to his house, but the same Dilip Kumar, when Bal Thackeray asked him to return the award that had been given to him, the highest civilian award of Pakistan, Dilip Kumar refused to do so. He placed Salman Khan's father Salim because his first wife, who's Hindu, would have the Ganesh Puja and bring that Ganesh statue. So, you know, he was a person of contradictions. At one level, he was very critical of the Congress party. At another level, he supported the Indira Gandhi during the emergency. The Shiv Sena has been the oldest ideological ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party in the National Democratic Alliance coalition. Yet, both during the election of former President of India Pratibha Devi Singh Patil as well as our current President Pranab Mukherjee, the Shiv Sena broke ranks from the NDA and went against what the BJP had been saying. In the case of Pratibha Devi Singh Patil, the Shiv Sena supported her because she was from Maharashtra. In the case of Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, it's hardly a secret that both Mr. Pranab Mukherjee and the late Bal Thackeray had a common friend in the late Dhirubhai Ambani. So, in that sense, you know, he was not consistent all the time, and he had his share of contradictions.
To Mahim, joining us from there is my colleague Kamlesh Sutar, and he'll describe for our viewers the scenes around him as we see these thousands of people out on the streets of Mahim heading towards the Shiv Sena Bhavan. Kamlesh, take it away.
The contact has reached Mahim causeway, and it's just reaching Mahim Kolibada. It's just a distance of 1.5 kilometers. But for last 1 hour since it started from 9 o'clock, it has taken 1.5 hours to cross that distance. And let me also tell you the entire is full of people. At least 3 to 4 lakh people are on the streets as of now, not only from Mahim to Bandra, but also from Mahim towards Shivaji Park, towards Shiv Sena Bhavan. The streets is full of people. You see people on the sides of the road, they've been carrying pictures of Bal Thackeray saying that last tribute. People all across the road, on that building, on hoardings, on towers, on electric poles, everywhere. They could get a place to catch the glimpse of their leaders who has ruled the city for last 4 decades. Not essentially Shiv Sena voters or Shiv Sena followers, but common Mumbaikars who have seen Bal Thackeray's politics, who have seen him for the last 4 decades. All of them have almost, it seems like the entire city of Mumbai has come down on the streets today between Bandra and Dadar to pay that last respect to the time.
I'm going to leave it over there. Thank you very much, Kamlesh, for joining us. What we've seen, Mr. Nayak, is some BJP leaders, most notably Narendra Modi, play footsie with the cozy up to Raj Thackeray. If Narendra Modi were to take over the BJP or play a far more important role than he does right now, is there a possibility that the BJP could shift allegiance from the Shiv Sena and join up with the MNS?
But not immediately, I think. Because Raj's influence in Maharashtra's politics also is very limited. And I think they would not leave immediately Shiv Sena because Uddhav Thackeray is already there, and entire Shiv Sena right now remains intact unless after some time there is a split in Shiv Sena and part of it goes to Raj Thackeray. I think it remains.
Do you see that happen?
Perhaps it may be possible after some time if they do not find any kind of Uddhav Thakray's influence increasing in Maharashtra, Shiv Sena or Maharashtra as such, because you know that Raj Thackeray played politics which actually helped the NCP and the Congress party last time. So both parties, NCP also would like to poach Raj Thackeray, or the Congress also want to do that. So there is a likelihood that unless both of their brothers come together, Shiv Sena has a problem, and Uddhav Thackeray will also face a problem of gaining the support of the younger generation and the people of Maharashtra.
Vijay Nayak, we'll let you go for joining us.